Picture this: the shimmering glass skyscrapers of Seoul, South Korea. Inside one of these monolithic structures sits a giant of the technology world, Samsung. For decades, they have dictated the pace of mobile innovation. But what happens when the next massive leap in artificial intelligence does not come from Silicon Valley, Tokyo, or Seoul, but from the bustling, vibrant streets of Manila, Philippines? This is the story of a brilliant Filipino AI engineer who developed a revolutionary algorithm, managed to secure a coveted pitch meeting with Samsung's elite engineering team, and was unceremoniously dismissed. He was laughed out of the room. But the tech world is brutal, and karma works in mysterious ways. What happened next did not just humble a corporate giant. It completely shook the global tech ecosystem. Welcome to the channel. Today, we dive into the incredible true story of how a dismissed Filipino tech genius made Samsung regret the biggest mistake in their modern history. To understand the gravity of this blunder, we first have to understand the culture at Samsung. Samsung is not just a company. In South Korea, it is an empire. Their research and development campuses in Suwon, often referred to as Samsung Digital City, are like fortresses of innovation. Thousands of the brightest minds in the world walk these halls, backed by billions of dollars in funding. There is a deep-seated pride, and understandably so, in their homegrown technological supremacy. The corporate culture is highly traditional, hierarchical, and sometimes notoriously rigid. Ideas flow from the top down. Disruptive innovation from an unknown outsider, especially from a developing nation not traditionally known for cutting-edge semiconductor or deep AI architecture, faces an uphill battle. The engineers here are used to setting the standard, not buying it from a small startup from Southeast Asia. This built-in bias would soon become their Achilles heel. Meanwhile, over 1,000 miles away, in a cramped, humid apartment in Metro Manila, a completely different kind of innovation was brewing. Let us call our protagonist Mateo. Mateo did not have billions of dollars in research and development funding. He did not have access to state-of-the-art supercomputers or an army of Stanford-educated PhDs. What he did have was raw brilliance, relentless determination, and a unique perspective on resource constraints. In the Philippines, internet connectivity and device battery life have historically been significant pain points. Millions rely on budget smartphones to connect with the world. Mateo saw this not as a limitation but as a challenge. He began coding an artificial intelligence model designed specifically for edge computing, meaning the AI processes data directly on the mobile device rather than relying on massive cloud servers. His goal was to make budget phones run complex AI tasks with the efficiency of a $1,000 flagship. Mateo's breakthrough was nothing short of miraculous. He developed a proprietary neural network pruning technique. In simple terms, he found a way to compress massive AI models, the kind that usually require heavy-duty processors, into tiny, ultra-efficient packages that barely sipped battery power. Early tests showed his algorithm could process image rendering and real-time language translation 400% faster than existing industry standards, while using a fraction of the thermal energy. It was a golden ticket. Realizing the massive potential of his tech, Mateo and his small three-person team scraped together every peso they had. They filed for international patents and started cold emailing executives at every major smartphone manufacturer on the planet. For months, it was nothing but radio silence. Then, a minor miracle happened. A mid-level scout at Samsung caught wind of a benchmark test Mateo had posted on a developer forum. Intrigued, the scout arranged for Mateo to fly to Seoul to present his findings. Stepping off the plane at Incheon International Airport, Mateo felt the weight of his entire nation on his shoulders. The transition from the warm, chaotic energy of Manila to the hyper-modern, clinical precision of Samsung Digital City was jarring. He was escorted through security checkpoints, walking past pristine glass corridors and laboratories buzzing with robotics. He was finally led into a stark, minimalist boardroom on the executive floor. Waiting for him was a panel of senior engineers and product managers, led by a veteran director of advanced technologies. Let us refer to him as Mr. Choi. Choi was known for his brilliant mind but also his fierce arrogance. He had spent his entire life climbing the grueling corporate ladder of South Korean tech, and he viewed Mateo, a young, unknown developer from the Philippines, with visible skepticism. The atmosphere in the room was icy. Mateo connected his modest, sticker-covered laptop to the massive boardroom display. He began his pitch. He demonstrated how his AI pruning algorithm could extend the battery life of Samsung's flagship Galaxy devices by up to 30%, while simultaneously supercharging their on-device AI capabilities. The numbers were staggering. If integrated, it would give Samsung a massive, unbridgeable lead over Apple and Google. But as Mateo spoke, he noticed the senior engineers exchanging dismissive glances. They were not looking at the data. They were looking at him. When the presentation ended, the room fell silent. Finally, Mr. Choi leaned forward. Instead of asking technical questions about the neural network architecture, he questioned the validity of the data. He implied the benchmarks must have been falsified in a controlled environment. The tone was not just skeptical. It was deeply condescending. Then came the final, crushing blow. Mr. Choi looked at Mateo and delivered a line that would soon become infamous in industry circles. He told Mateo that Samsung was a global leader that built the hardware defining the future. "We do not outsource core intelligence to third-world startups," Choi reportedly said. He suggested that Mateo should take his little optimization script and try selling it to budget, low-tier Chinese phone manufacturers. The meeting was abruptly cut short. Mateo was escorted out of the building before he could even defend his life's work. The message was loud and clear. You are a Filipino startup, and you have no place at the high table of global technology. The rejection stung deeply. Mateo flew back to Manila, feeling defeated, humiliated, and questioning whether his dream was just an impossible delusion. But a funny thing happens when you push a true innovator into a corner. They do not give up. They just find another way to win. Back in his Manila apartment, the sting of the rejection transformed into a burning, relentless fuel. If the traditional gatekeepers of the tech world would not let him in through the front door, he was going to blow the roof off the building. Mateo realized a crucial truth. He did not need Samsung. The tech world was shifting. Instead of begging hardware giants for a licensing deal, Mateo decided to pivot. He packaged his AI algorithm into an accessible plug-and-play API and launched it on Product Hunt and GitHub. He aimed it directly at app developers, allowing them to integrate his hyper-efficient AI directly into their software, bypassing the phone manufacturers entirely. The response was absolute madness. Within 48 hours, the developer community caught onto what Mateo had built. Independent coders were shocked. They were running Mateo's code on 5-year-old, cracked-screen budget phones, and the AI was performing tasks that previously crashed top-of-the-line flagships. Word spread like wildfire across Reddit, Hacker News, and X. Silicon Valley started to wake up. Suddenly, Mateo was not the dismissed Filipino underdog anymore. He was the creator of the most talked-about repository on the internet. Top-tier venture capital firms from Sand Hill Road began frantically trying to get in touch. Partners at massive capital firms were calling his Manila apartment at 3 in the morning. The algorithm did not just work. It was a paradigm shift in edge computing. Then the ultimate plot twist arrived. While Samsung had haughtily dismissed Mateo, their biggest rival was paying very close attention. A specialized scout team from a massive tech behemoth located in Cupertino, California, quietly reached out. They flew an entire team of senior AI executives directly to the Philippines. They did not ask Mateo to come to them. They went to him. Sitting in a local coffee shop in Bonifacio Global City, the Silicon Valley executives did not look down on him. Instead, they treated him with the respect his genius deserved. They ran rigorous tests, and Mateo's algorithm passed every single one with flying colors. It completely dismantled the in-house AI optimization models the American giant had spent hundreds of millions trying to perfect. Behind closed doors, a massive multi-million-dollar exclusivity deal was struck. Fast forward 8 months. The Cupertino giant held its highly anticipated annual keynote event. Millions of people around the world tuned in. The CEO took the stage and announced their brand new, next-generation mobile processor, paired with an entirely overhauled on-device AI system. The presentation highlighted unprecedented battery efficiency and AI processing speeds that shattered all known industry records. But the real shock came when the technical white papers were released later that day. Deep in the documentation, tech journalists uncovered the secret sauce. The core optimization architecture was not developed in California. It was licensed from a little-known startup based in Manila. The tech world exploded. The news hit Samsung Digital City like a massive, devastating earthquake. The very same benchmark numbers that Mr. Choi had mocked just a year prior were now being broadcast globally by their biggest competitor, driving a massive surge in sales and a dramatic drop in Samsung's market share. The boardroom in Suwon was in absolute chaos. The executive committee demanded answers. How did they miss this? Who let this technology slip through their fingers? An internal investigation quickly traced the trail back to that fateful pitch meeting. The logs showed Mateo had presented the exact algorithm that was now destroying them in the market. The fallout was swift and brutal. Mr. Choi, the senior engineer who had laughed Mateo out of the room, was forced to step down. In a desperate attempt to stop the bleeding, Samsung's upper management authorized a blank check. They scrambled their top negotiators to contact Mateo. They offered to acquire his entire company for a staggering sum, offering him generational wealth, a title as vice president of global AI, and an apology. They wanted to buy out his contract with the American giant or at least secure a parallel licensing agreement. But they forgot one crucial detail. They were dealing with the man they had humiliated. When the Samsung executives called, Mateo politely took the meeting. He listened to their desperate multi-million-dollar pitches. He watched as the same company that once told him he did not belong at the high table practically begged him for a seat at his. Mateo's response was a masterclass in professional revenge. He calmly declined the acquisition. He explained that his startup was no longer for sale and that he had signed an airtight, multi-year exclusivity deal with his new partners. He reminded them, with a touch of poetic justice, that as a third-world startup, he would not want to burden a global leader with his little optimization script. The phone call ended, sealing Samsung's fate in the mobile AI race for the next hardware generation. The story leaked to the press, and the business world was stunned. It became a legendary cautionary tale in Silicon Valley and Seoul alike. A multi-billion-dollar blunder caused entirely by arrogance and prejudice. Today, Mateo's startup is valued at over $1 billion. He did not move to Silicon Valley. Instead, he used his newfound wealth and influence to build a state-of-the-art AI research facility right in the heart of Manila. He is actively funding and mentoring the next generation of Southeast Asian engineers, proving that world-class innovation does not require a zip code in California or South Korea. The Philippines is now rapidly emerging as a dark horse in the global tech landscape, attracting massive foreign investment. Tech giants no longer dismiss cold emails from Manila. They prioritize them. Mateo single-handedly destroyed the geographical gatekeeping that had plagued the industry for decades. This story is a powerful reminder. Arrogance is the enemy of innovation. When a massive corporation gets too comfortable, they start looking at where an idea comes from, rather than what the idea actually is. Brilliance is distributed equally around the world, even if opportunity is not. The next time you hear about a major tech breakthrough, do not just assume it came from a multi-billion-dollar corporate lab. It might just have come from a cramped apartment, driven by an underdog who refused to take no for an answer. What do you guys think of this monumental blunder by Samsung? Let us know in the comments below. Hit that like button if you love a good underdog story, and subscribe for more deep dives into the wild world of tech. See you in the next one.